So in this video, I want to talk to you about cropping. Now, I think that this is single-handedly the most important and underutilized tool that we have in our arsenal in terms of editing. Because what it does is it removes distractions at the same time it simplifies our photo. Now, there's a few examples here that I want to show you that drives this point home. Take a look at this first example, for instance. Here we have a scene, and honestly, I really like this photo, but as we can see that there's clearly distractions in this photo. We have the green car in the bottom left, we have this person in the right-hand side of the frame, and we also have the sky. Often the sky tends to be quite bright, and that can be a distraction here. What we're doing is creating a more impactful photo, a more clean frame in the process, simply by cropping to remove those extraneous distractions. Now here's another example. Same image. We can crop multiple ways. This idea of simplifying a photo, finding a composition that is cleaner, filling the frame with our subject, that's always going to give us a photo with maximum impact. Take a look at this next example here. It's a decent photo already, I kind of like it, but take a look at the impact that cropping has on this photo. We're filling the frame a little bit more, and what we're doing in this photo specifically is we're taking advantage of the compression that happens when we crop in. We're getting a little bit less of that sky, which isn't helping us, and a little bit more of that road, that winding alley that goes through the streets here in Mexico. Let's take a look at this next example here. And while I like this shot, you have to ask yourself, what's the subject? What is this really about? Simply by cropping, we can take a part of the image and fill the frame with whatever has the most impact, whatever has the most visual weight. Ideally, we can do that in camera. Sometimes we don't always have the opportunity, or sometimes it doesn't occur to us. So don't underestimate the impact that cropping has in our final images. Now take a look at this next example here. This is a vertical frame, and this will happen quite often, especially as we're shooting for social media. Well, naturally we get a little bit more sky and a lot more foreground in the process. Now, sometimes that could actually be helpful, but if you take a scene like this, the sky has no information at all, and neither does the foreground really. So if we simply crop it, we get something that has a lot more impact. We're taking our subject and we're filling the frame with the subject. And I'm repeating myself specifically because there's a repetition here that helps you understand why this is so effective. Now let's take a look at this next example here. This really drives it home. There's something about this photo, there's something here, but it's not fully developed yet. Simply by cropping, look at what this does. What I'm doing is I'm eliminating that sky. I'm eliminating all the information that's not exactly helpful for us. We have a responsibility as a photographer to say, here's all the stuff in the world. Now here, look here. This is the most important thing to look at. Look at the impact that going from an image that starts like this and simply cropping and then doing a little bit of editing that we'll get to later. Look at the impact that that has in the final result. It's quite impressive. This is what we're going to show you throughout the course, is how to get from that photo to this photo here. So take a look at this photo here. This is the photo that we captured during the urban iPhone photography course that we recently filmed in New York City. And I remember standing here thinking, this is an amazing view. All the information, virtually everything I want the viewer to walk away with, exists in this very narrow band right in the middle of this photo. So everything that's above or below my subject matter, it's just that story that doesn't need to be told. Now I want to show you exactly how we can crop for maximum impact. I'm going to click on the word edit here, and we're going to click on the cropping tool on the bottom on the right hand side. Now all I need to do is simply drag up from the bottom and then drag down from the top, something around here. I'm going to click on the word done. Take a look at the impact that that photo has now. Every single time we identify what the subject is and then we fill the frame, that is the single most important thing we can do to improve our photographs. And that's why cropping has such an impact. Now let's take a look at this next example here. Now this is a beautiful scene. This is also filmed during the urban iPhone photography course. And I saw this puddle, I saw this reflection. I thought, oh, this is gonna be cool. And then I waited for the right moment and I captured this frame. While I like it, often what will happen is you're in the moment when you're taking this photo. There's all these sounds, there's all these visual cues. You're bending down, you're looking at the reflection, and you don't necessarily study the impact of the final result. So now let me show you a few other tools that we have at our disposal when we talk about cropping. So I'm going to click on the word edit, And now I'm going to click on that cropping icon again. That will bring up my crop tool. I'm going to click at this little icon here that looks like a frame within a frame within a frame on the top right hand side. And now once it turns yellow, you're going to see we have a bunch of options on the bottom part of our screen. Now where it says freeform, what that means is we can drag any of these edges and frame it any which way we want to. That's kind of cool, right? That gives us some creative flexibility here. But what happens is sometimes our images can be all over the place in terms of framing. So now I'm gonna click on original, and what that's gonna do is lock the aspect ratio. I can crop in, but when I do, it's gonna maintain the ratio, that height to width ratio from the original capture. Now I can move within this frame, but no matter what corner I drag from, it's always gonna keep that original aspect ratio. That's really handy because if we start cropping our images all the time, and then you put a gallery of images together, sometimes it can feel a little bit all over the place if all of your images are cropped to a different aspect ratio. So now let me show you some of the other aspect ratios that we have available to us. And let's start with 9:16. Now this is a perfect aspect ratio for Instagram stories and reels. The next one, 4:5 or 5:4. This is perfect for Instagram posts in general. This will be the largest frame that we have available that we can display on Instagram. 5:7, that's often typical for print, for instance. 3:4 is the native aspect ratio. That's the aspect ratio that comes out of every single picture that we take with the camera. And then we have other ones as well, 3:5 and 2:3 or 3:2. But having these available to us allows us to both be creative in the decisions we make about our aspect ratio, but also be consistent. So now let me switch back over to our original aspect ratio. I'll just click on original here. You're gonna notice just two more icons that are above all these words. One's a vertical and one's a horizontal. And what that does is change the orientation of our crop. So if I click on that horizontal one, that instantly jumps us to a horizontal orientation of the photo. If I click on that vertical again, it takes us right back to where we left off. Here's what I want to do. I am going to keep the aspect ratio as original. I'm going to drag one of these corners here. And what I want to do is create the maximum impact from this photo because clearly I have a subject. So simply by cropping in, I'm giving her more visual weight and making her more prominent in the photo. I want her perfectly symmetrical in the middle, as well as the symmetry between the top and the bottom half of the frame. Now I want to draw your attention to two more options that we have in the top left-hand corner of the screen. Now the first one here that looks like a triangle, if I click on that, look what it does. It just flips the image horizontally. So just think about that for a second. There may be scenarios where you find yourself thinking, if only they were looking the opposite direction. Another scenario might be if you captured a reflection, for instance, and the text was backwards. It's a very simple trick to just flip the image horizontally, and now that text will read the right way, or that person will be looking the opposite direction. Now there is one more thing that we can do as well. We can flip this vertically, except we don't have a tool that allows us to flip vertically. We have a tool that allows us to rotate 90 degrees. And that's not what I want to do. But if I click it again, now I just flip this image upside down. It's as if we had a vertical flip tool. This works really well, by the way, for reflection shots. It throws off the orientation of the image and throws the viewer off a little bit and keeps them engaged in the photo. And that's what this is all about, to create photos that keep the viewer engaged with the final result. So that's the power of cropping. What it does at its core is look at the entire scene of which we're responsible for and says, this is what I want the viewer to see. And it eliminates all the other distractions, filling the frame with our subject matter and creating maximum impact in the process. This video was a free preview of the iPhone Editing Academy online course. In this course, you'll discover everything you need to know to edit your photos to perfection using the device that's always in your pocket. Whether you want to breathe new life into your old images or make your best photos even better, you'll find out exactly how to do that on your iPhone. I'll show you the latest photo editing tricks that will transform even average photos into stunning masterpieces in just a few minutes. So if you'd like to learn more about creating incredible photo edits on your iPhone, please take a look at the full version of my iPhone Editing Academy course. You'll find the link in the description right next to this video. So click on that link now and I'll see you inside the full version of this course.